Welcome back. Today we're going to be addressing a section of a Meghan Tonjes video. Now the reason I'm only addressing a section of her video is because her video is a rant with multiple subjects held within it, two of which have me interested, the first being black on black crime and the other being listen and believe. By all means, go and watch her entire video, it is in the description, context is important after all. Now just before we get started, I want to just make something clear. I have addressed Meghan Tonjes before on the subject of All Lives Matter. She is such a smug and arrogant person that I had intended on addressing some of her opinions after the election, but I had gotten so fed up of the same thing being said with regards to Trump being elected, i.e. Islamophobic, homophobic, etc., that I just felt that her video would be better suited to somebody else, which it never was, but that doesn't matter now. This video though does offer opportunity for me to address certain topics, like I've earlier mentioned with regards to black on black crime and listen and believe, that I want to just air some, not personal grievance, but certainly my own opinions on, and to back it up with some facts if possible. And also, just before we jump into the clip your video that I want to focus on, your Twitter description has the booty that launched 1,000 ships. Insert poop jokes in my comment section because it is wide open. So take it away, Meghan.
New Orleans Saints player Will Smith was murdered, and that murder trial has actually started. Will Smith was shot and killed by Cardell Hayes. One of them, I think Smith was drunk, and they got into some kind of like road rage back and forth, and Cardell shot him.
This particular murder case, or manslaughter case, or second-degree attempted murder case with the wife of Will Smith being in the car as well, is rather difficult to go through, as nobody really wins here, and there are so many contradictions from Mr. Hayes that I just don't know what's true. I just have to accept the verdict. But what I'm annoyed with is that you weren't prepared enough to talk about the case. You just use it as an excuse to rail on gun control. Why not talk about black on black crime? Granted, Mr. Hayes did put 7 shots into Mr. Smith, but surely you'd want to talk about black on black crime as well. Or are you not qualified because of the hue of your epidermis?
It's just, I can't. You guys, I know I say this every time something like this happens, but there's just nothing going on that is worth you shooting someone else, murdering someone else, especially over something like road rage or an automobile accident. Like, it's just not fucking worth it.
Everything you said reeks of pacifism and ignorance. I'm English, and I accept that we need guns to control certain situations where we know someone will not listen to someone's verbal negotiating to avoid getting shot, harmed, killed, damaged in some way, where eventually you're going to get to the point where a gun is needed. It is an absolute, and it's unfortunate, but it is, in some cases, needed. Now, of course, in the context of this particular incident that you are talking about loosely, vaguely, no, of course a gun was not needed, and Will Smith did not need 7 shots put in his back. Of course not. However, you did go off on a little tangent, so I thought it only right that I do the same.
Like, I don't like feeling helpless.
I get the feeling your fear is born more out of paranoia than it is anything else, as your Twitter has already indicated you're in Los Angeles. It is well known that California has the strictest gun control laws in America, and Los Angeles even stricter. Firstly, California has no provision in its state constitution that explicitly guarantees an individual the right to keep and bear arms. Second, in Los Angeles specifically, you cannot carry anything with a magazine that holds any more than 10 rounds. Granted, 1 round is enough to finish most people if shot right, but you're in the safest state, supposedly. So I think yours is born more out of delusion, and I don't think you leave your bubble enough to be able to validate any of your arguments.
When I see stuff like that, it makes me feel helpless, because it makes me feel like it does not matter what you do. You could be at the wrong place, the wrong time, and someone might decide, I'm having a bad day and I'm going to shoot this person because they pissed me off.
Which is basically that story. However, for the sake of you, it's reductio ad absurdum, and you could just say, I want them to ban guns. Why don't you just say that? I mean, you're in the right state to be able to say something so smug and patronizing.
Bullshit.
Wait, you didn't bleep out this profanity? You bleep out fuck, but you don't bleep out bullshit. I know for a fact you also don't bleep out asshole, even though it's arsehole. Where's the line? How is fuck any worse than bullshit? Essentially, what you've just done is a form of selective censorship, where you've deemed the word fuck worse than bullshit and asshole or arsehole.
I haven't watched this Breakfast Club Trevor Noah situation yet. I know a lot of people are talking about it online.
Well then, I recommend you watch it, as it is a rather fascinating insight into how the liberal mind works. Whenever a question was asked of Tomi Lahren, she answered it, and when she asked a question back, or gave facts, Trevor Noah has managed to skirt around it and laugh it off or deflect onto something else. It was embarrassing.
Trevor Noah is interesting because I feel like people love Trevor Noah, but then I follow a lot of people that do not love Trevor Noah and think he capes for some shit.
And I thought you lived in an echo chamber. Well, your Twitter account sure showed me.
Especially after the Tomi Lahren, however you say her name, I don't know, interview.
As a small side, every commentator that did a response video to that particular interview had its copyright claimed. So I'm not going to show clips of it. Instead, I'm going to link down below to that interview, and I recommend you go watch it if you haven't already, because I think it's very interesting. And also, the next things that Meghan say have more context, and that's good.
It's interesting. I don't necessarily have an opinion on Trevor Noah. Honestly, I don't watch him that much.
If it's not clear enough already why better context is needed when doing response videos, this is pretty much it. She's going to go down the path of, I have an opinion based on everything else that I have seen except the one thing that would actually give me better context.
I saw the internet freaking out yesterday because Tomi Lahren got a cupcake. I get both sides, right? Where people are like, don't give an audience and more eyes on this really hateful shit. And then I also understand the side of like, well, we have to have conversations at some point between people that don't agree and publicly so that we can actually like start.
What you've just explained there is the very premise of free speech, something that is regularly challenged by progressives when they say they don't want hateful speech to be openly used in certain areas where it could trigger other people. And I say progressive, ironically, of course. Back in 2006, in my old days at university, they tried to ban Nick Griffin from speaking at the university. Nick Griffin was the leader of the BNP, extremely far-right party in the United Kingdom. He got to speak, but there were protests. He got to speak because we believe in freedom of speech. If they did it now, no, I don't think he would, because it's gotten so bad at that particular university. But I believe in free speech and would want everyone to be able to challenge each other's ideas. And we should also try and understand different people. I certainly found it fascinating trying to understand what the hell was going through that retard's mind.
Listen, I'm not here trying to explain to racists that they're racist.
This seems a bit obvious, but who's racist? Is it those that voted Republican or those that support Tomi Lahren? I support Tomi Lahren, but only because she destroyed Trevor Noah. That's nothing against Trevor Noah, he just looks like an absolute bumbling fool against her.
I just wish you'd grow up and be a part of the solution.
Salty. I'm guessing Republican then. What solution were you holding out hope that the Electoral College would go against the people that voted? God, so salty. It's good.
I see it on my Dear White People video. The amount of comments on there that are blaming me for Trump being president because the alt-right is a reaction to the alt-left and you created us. And it's like, bitch, if your origin story is based on you being a hateful asshole, that's on you. That's not on me.
You as a sole individual are not to blame for Trump, but you and what you stand for and those that support what you stand for, along with all the others that made videos in the same manner, what you stand for, those ideals, and the way you acted, the way social justice acts. It's hardly a surprise that this origin story would be such a reaction to your own regressive rhetoric. Trump won because the people are sick and tired of you and what you believe. You, not the individual, you, as in you, the avatar of everything that's smug in California. I really hope California exits the states. Could be so much nicer without California.
Honestly, from my point of view, it's not about being left or being Democrat or being whatever, which most people incorrectly label me as what they think that I am.
Aside from the obvious fat label, I assume they label you as smug Californian who would most likely vote Libertarian, but under the circumstances, Hillary.
I'm on the side of people being treated like f***ing people.
After watching your post-election video in your car, I can safely say you are talking out of your bottom.
I'm on the side of actually trusting the experiences of people that have gone through things.
And I am not. I am on the side where evidence is required to back up any claim made. If someone says they have lived a certain experience, I want evidence. I don't want them to get all hissy when I ask for evidence. I will tell them once they finish their little hissy fit that what they have said is being dismissed on the grounds that no evidence is there to back it up. I don't like bullshit.
I'm a grown-up, so I don't have to look at the world and say, oh, I haven't experienced it, I haven't seen that, so it must not be true. I understand that my experience is different than other people's experiences, and that whenever you're in a position to help, you should help. I don't care what side you're on, Democrat, Republican, we all have different philosophies on what is financially the right decision for our nation, whether we should go to war, what we believe, whatever, but intrinsically on a fucking human level, I believe that people should be trusted to share their own stories and experiences.
How very intersectional feminist of you. People should be allowed to express themselves or divulge information about their supposed experiences. Of course, I believe and support free speech, as much as I do those that would dismiss it if it's utter bullshit.
That people should have rights over their bodies, and then it does nothing to just ignore history and say, well, I don't know, for a few years we've been okay. Everything happens in cycles, bitch. History repeats itself. Let's learn something.
That same logic will hopefully come back to bite you on the ass if you continue to attack people based on their race, gender, or sexuality. Like, for example, the straight white man. Continue to fuck them off, and they are going to bite back. They don't submit. You attack someone, they bite back. Most bite back.
I just also don't understand the whole idea of well, you're in a bubble, but it's bitch, you're in a bubble. Have you not seen the amount of horrible things that are happening in the world to people?
Seen and experienced. A different level, of course, to some of the more extremes you would think of, but there is still poverty in other areas of the world that is considered or are considered to be developed. Then again, maybe you're not talking about poverty. Maybe you're talking about war-torn countries where religion is very, very prominent. Surprising your country's held together so well when there are progressives like you stirring the pot. You live in a bubble, Meghan Tonjes. A nice little bubble that keeps you safe, and hopefully it will secede from the United States of America and become less of a burden on other countries that provide it with things like water.
How do you not feel some kind of empathy or sympathy or anything for other people that are struggling or going through things? How do you not want to be a part of that solution?
Because a lot of people put themselves and their own families first before other families in other areas of the world. Simply put, it's about survival first. Your own self, your family, your blood.
Why do we as people think I'm okay, so f*** everyone else? That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not repeating myself on that one. The point is pretty much the same as the one I made less than 20 seconds ago.
You could be on the other end of anything. So what are you... I'm just going into a random rant now, but we have to start having conversations with people we don't agree with.
And on this, you and I agree. I think it's a great idea to talk to people you don't agree with on everything. Not just to challenge yourself, but to reaffirm what you believe, but also understand why they think the way they do. I mentioned this earlier with Nick Griffin. It's a great idea, and you should do this. You should go on live streams with people you don't agree with. People like Bearing, for example. He has had Marina shut up on his channel, and they talked it out. Granted, they didn't agree on much, and it became one huge lol fest for me, but, it happens when you're a retard.
And a lot of times that's our friends and family. And stop putting all of the blame and all of the responsibility on the people that are going through the suffering. It makes no sense.
Is that a not so subtle way of saying, please stop talking to me in a negative way? I'm going through things right now, because the person I wanted to win didn't win. Blah, blah, blah. No one cares. Trump won. Deal with it. I'm bored of you now, so I'm going to finish this. Thank you all for listening.
Oh, Meghan, can I bang you? I guess. Sure. I mean, as long as you promise to cuddle afterwards, it's fine.